What's going on, guys? Today I got a quick video going over my Battlefield 2042 settings. I've had quite a few people recently ask me in the comments about like what rig I'm running, what settings I'm using, all that sort of stuff. So I will have my PC build in the description because going over it is quite a bit of faff. There's quite a bit to it. So starting off with general, I have all of these as pretty much standard. I think this is what everyone uses. Network standards always. I do have a network performance bar on as well. Then in display, I play on full screen on a 1440p monitor. I do have two monitors. My second one's a 1080p 165Hz, but I use that mainly as like a second display to have all of my other bits and bobs on. So 144Hz 1440p display. Field of view I run at 100. I don't know why, I just don't like 105. It's a bit of an odd number, keep it on 100. Third person field of view for vehicles, I have that on max. ADS field of view, I have that turned off. I haven't really tried it with it on. I know some people prefer it like that, but I just keep that off. Graphical settings, I have my brightness on 60 just to give me a bit more clarity in them sort of dark places. Motion blur, chromatic aberration, and vignette. Everyone, I think, just should keep these off unless you're going for like a more stylish look to the game and you're not too sweaty, you're not too bothered about, you know, the graphics and everything. I typically just have these off just because it sort of hinders visual performance, I find. And then for the graphics, I have basically everything on medium, just tick it to custom, and then I keep anti-alias in post-processing off. I just find there's no need for it. Ambient occlusion off, and high fidelity objects amounts, I keep this on high. And I haven't tried it anything lower, but I keep it on high just because it sort of increases or reduces the amount of soldiers and vehicles that can simultaneously be seen with the highest fidelity animation, sounds and effects. So just seeing character animations and stuff from afar, and if you've got like a lot of people on your screen, I just find having that high just be a bit helpful. I haven't really tested it, but it just makes sense going off the description. I then use DLSS on quality. I know you could obviously put on balance or performance to get some more frames, but I just don't see the point. A lot of people do sort of hate on NVIDIA DLSS, but I personally use it for every single game if I can, especially on quality. I find like there is no real sort of drop in resolution because obviously it's down-resed and when you play it in an AI upscaled version of it. And a lot of people hate DLSS and they're going about how the quality, it just ruins it. But honestly, with a quality setting, I use it on all my single player games too. I just find it to be perfect. There's no reason not to use it, I find, but again, that's probably a preference thing. But ray trace ambient occlusion, obviously off, no need for that, and that's probably the most boring type of ray tracing you can get anyway. NVIDIA reflex low latency, I have that on as enable plus boost, and then latency flash indicator, I have this on just because I do live in an old sort of council house and we only have Wi-Fi, we don't have Ethernet, it's too much hassle, we can't get proper fibre. My packet loss is pretty decent, to be honest. I think I sit on like a millisecond ping of, I think it's about 20, mid-20s, maybe 30s on Battlefield. So it's pretty decent. On COD, I run about 15 to 29, but I've got a good Wi-Fi 6 router and network card, so that does the job for me. So I have these on anyway. Future frame rendering off because it does increase the input visual performance. So I don't see the point of it. Obviously, it makes your game look smoother, but for me, that's a big no. And same with VSync as well. Obviously, VSync will lock your frame rate to the refresh rate off your monitor, but it also increases input lag, which it doesn't have here. But most people have G-Sync monitors anyway, but I don't have one. And coming along to HUD general here, this is all just preference stuff. I have HUD motion off, that's one of the main ones, just because I don't like everything moving and bumping about when you're sprinting. I just don't see the point of it. Camera shake amount, keep that on as low as possible, don't want that. Soldier compass, I always have that on. Vehicle seat on. I have the chat log visibility, so when it's active, I have that on. I pass it on 100. Now this is like the sort of main preference thing people use, and that's the colours of your squad, team, enemies and neutral. Now if I'm squad being purple and your team being dark blue and the enemies being a dark red, just sort of being the sort of go-to for me. And it's obviously down here in the bright, so like when you're playing on somewhere like Breakaway, you can't see it as much, but I haven't actually found that in game. In game, I found it to be alright, but again, that's just like a preference thing. And then the info scale of like everything on your map, like personal log, world log, player info, you know, world info scale, like the map and everything. I just have this all set to 75. Since they added this, I can't remember when they added it, maybe patch 1.1, I think maybe, and yeah, or maybe even season 1, but since you've been able to adjust this, it sort of just makes everything a bit clean on the screen, so that's what I use. And then crosshair opacity is 100, crosshair thickness is on thick, projection off, crosshair colours are white. I know some people change this about, but I haven't. I've got the headshot colour is yellow, kill colour is black, and armour hit indicator as blue. And everything else down here, I think this is pretty standard, to be honest. These are my mini-map settings. I know some people, like obviously if you're in a vehicle, you're going to want to see more of a mini-map. On foot, I find this is sort of like the perfect amount for me. I did try getting it to 80, but it's just too fidgety with the slider. But yeah, that's what I've done. Yeah, ground vehicles 200, and then air vehicles max. These are my sound settings. I don't think if this has anything to do with anyone, this is probably, again, down to preference with like the type of headset you use. My master volume's only on 35, and then I think my GeForce recording for sound systems on 30 or something. That's just for recording. Voice chat, I've only recently enabled voice chat. I've never really used it. And I have it on push to talk as well. I haven't used it, but I'm probably going to try and give it a go just because of like my recent video saying about how squad teammates don't work together and everything. And to be fair, I don't talk to them, but their skill based is just, it's just not great. So I'm going to give that a go anyway. I have got to change. Okay, not change it. Controller, so people probably guessed already I play on mouse and keyboard, but I used to play on controller normally. Like I still use controller on COD. I use my right index finger to press all of these buttons and then the bumper, and I swap these around. So I think I've got it there, buttons on alternate. So right sticks to crouch, B's to melee. I use my right index finger to press all 4 of these buttons and then the bumper. And then what I do is I swap the LB and RB around with LT and RT. So it's left bumper to aim, right bumper to shoot. LT is your equipment, like your proximity sensor, whatnot, and then the RT is your grenade or lethal. That's how I use it on COD anyway. It's a bit unorthodox, but I've been playing that way for a very long time. Like Elite controllers, Xbox Elite, and Scuff controllers, ones that cost like, 150, 250 quid. I think they're pointless with the way I play. I just don't need them. I don't need paddles on the back because I use my right index finger to press all these buttons, whereas people normally use their right thumb for the right stick, and then they use their right thumb to also press all these buttons, whereas I can just simultaneously use everything all at once. And I play on a PlayStation 5 DualSense controller. I used to use DualShock 4, but recently got a DualShock 5 controller, so that's what I use for controller, if that helps anyone. I was going to go for mouse keybinds and key bindings, but it's all subjective because all of my settings in here are also set to, like for example, soldier mouse aim sensitive. I got this on 10, and then my mouse DPI is on 1600, I believe. A lot of the control schemes that I've remapped are also based on my keyboard. I don't use a regular keyboard. I can't do that because I used to be a controller player for so long. So what I use is a Razer Tartarus V2 with like fully remappable keys on it, and I play that way. It has a thumbstick on it, so that's how I play that. But yeah, in a nutshell, that's all of my settings. If you've liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe.